Hi, welcome back. I just came with one more video, guys. So this is the continuation of my previous videos. So previously we have started with DrayTek Vigor2766 router. So I have shown to you how to do the basic configurations of DrayTek Vigor2766 AC router. So in this video, I'm going to show it to you how to configure the LAN. So especially the LAN is one of the very important guys because most of the engineers they are getting some confused, especially when it comes to the DrayTek router. So exactly the LAN is nothing but that's your local area network. So all your end devices are going to connect within the LAN. So sometimes as per the customer requirement, we are going to configure different subnets. Let's say for the management, we are going to keep it different subnet. For guest, we are going to keep it the different subnet. For internal users, we are going to keep it in the different subnet. So there is a couple of requirements that it's going to come. So that time, how you are going to configure your DrayTek router, especially the LAN interface. So that's what we are going to discuss about in this video. So let's go and see what are the topics that I'm going to cover in this video. The first one is that configuration of LAN. So here I'm going to show it to you if it is a plain deployment. Let's say that if the customer said to you, I just want to go with a single LAN, that's it, single network. I don't want to create multiple subnets and all. I want a single subnet. Then how you are going to configure it. Then after that, how you are going to enable the DHCP. Then how you enable DNS. In case if the customer said to you, no, I want to configure multiple subnets as per my requirement. So that how you are going to configure multiple VLANs. So where to enable this, how it's going to work. Then in case if you are going to enable multiple VLANs, then what type of methods are available, especially in the DrayTek. So that in DrayTek we are going to say like a port based or tag based. So what is the difference between port based and tag based? So that we can cover all these things, guys. Then once we complete all this stuff, then we are going to check the overview. So the first thing, guys, let's go to my whiteboard. And first thing is that you can see here there is a total four LAN ports are there, right? So already this port we are dedicatedly using for internet purpose. Why? Because in Middle East, especially in Dubai, there is a broadband connection. We don't have DSL or ADSL connections. So that's why we are going to use Ethernet interface for your internet connection. So this is already we are using for internet purpose. And these three ports that we are going to use it for the LAN. So you guys see here, the interesting thing is that why the DrayTek has given multiple LAN ports. So that's very interesting, guys. Let's say if you are in the remote location and you are just connecting one or two computers. So that time what you can do, guys, the advantage is that take port number 3 and connect it to PC1 or PC2 or PC3, and this is you can connect one more network device. Okay, guys, and this is you can connect to one more network device, so that you don't require any separate switch. So these three ports are going to act as your switch ports. So that's the beauty of that by default. So the advantage is that if it is a remote location, hardly you have one or two computers, and you can directly connect not only one or two computers, guys, any network device you can directly connecting on these three ports. Why? Because these three ports are going to act as a LAN, and this port number 4 is acting as a WAN. That is the advantage. Okay, and also from this device you can directly establish the VPN also. In case if you want to communicate to the remote locations, you can configure the VPN also. See the advantage, guys. That's the beauty of DrayTek. So these are all the LAN ports, whatever the three ports are there. If it is a small deployment, you can use it directly as a switch ports and you can connect your end devices. So you don't require a separate switch. So that's the beauty of the DrayTek, guys. Yeah, and also let's go and see how I'm going to configure. So the first scenario that I'm going to talk about, let's say for the port number 1, I just want to connect it to my network switch. So DrayTek has a very good portfolio, guys. We have a PoE and non-PoE switches, and all our switches are managed switches, and those are the gigabit switches. Okay, all switches you can configure it through GUI. That's the beauty of that. So let's say that I have connected a switch. So basically, you know that switch is a device. It's like a centralized device which is going to connect all your end devices. So let's say I'm going to connect to the computers, I'm going to connect to the IP phones, then I'm going to connecting to the access points, then I'm going to connect some IP cameras. So it's completely as per your requirement. You are going to connect. I'm going to connect some servers, right guys? So this is my network switch. So I can say PoE switch. So that the PoE switch, the advantage is that in case if you are going to connect any IP phones or access points, this is my access point, this is my camera, and this is my IP phone. So in case if the device is required a power, you don't require to provide separate power source. So simply the switch itself is going to provide the power. So that's the beauty of that. So you can connect directly here. Then after that, the P4 port, you can directly connecting to your internet. Okay guys, this is the basic, the general setup. So by default, as I told you in my previous videos, like the default, the LAN interface as configured with 192.168.1.1, which is /24, and the DHCP is enabled for this subnet, right guys? So which is 192.168.1.0/24. So that whoever is connecting to this network switch, by default they are going to get the IP address from this subnet. But as per my requirement, I don't want to use the default subnet. Maybe I want to change something different. Let's say I'm planning to use 192.168.10.0 subnet. Okay guys, so this is the subnet I'm planning to use. Why? Because this is as per my topology. Maybe I have a multiple locations, but this location I'm planning to use 10 subnet. So that how I'm going to change. It's a completely plain network guys. Here in the plain network is nothing but I don't have a multiple subnets. I have a single subnet. So how I'm going to change it? Let's go and have a look. Let's clear this part and open the browser. Then you can see here the default access is 192.168.1.1. So the default username is admin and default password is admin. Then click login. So say OK. So now you guys can see here, go to the LAN and click on the general setup. And you can see here there is a LAN 1. So the default it's saying that it's enable, and DHCP is also enable, and DHCP version 6 if you want you can do that. But right now I'm not talking about version 6. I'm focusing on IP version 4. Now you can see here the default IP address is 192.168.1.1. So I want to change this IP address as per my topology as discussed earlier. So go to the details page. So I want to give 192.168.10.1. So I want to use /24. And in case if you see here, if you want to disable the DHCP, you can do that. In case if you want to enable the DHCP, you can do that. In case if you have a separate DHCP server, then you can say that enable relay agent, so that you can specify that IP addresses of those DHCP servers. So that's the beauty of your DrayTek guys. So you have a multiple options how you want to configure it. Then click on enable server. Then after that I want to start from, because this is saying that I want to reserve some IP addresses. So keep in your mind guys, whenever you are going to configure the DHCP, most of the time, first of all you need to define the subnet. So I define that 192.168.10.0/24. So this is my subnet. In this subnet, I want to reserve some IP addresses, which is 192.168.10.1 to 192.168.10.20. So these are my reserved range. So why you want to reserve? Maybe I want to use it for my NVR, or I want to use it for my PABX, or I want to use it for some servers. So I need to reserve some IP addresses guys. It's always best practice. So this is the reserved range. And I'm going to start the IP addresses from 192.168.10.21 to 192.168.10.254. So this is the range of my DHCP pool. So this is, you can call it as a DHCP pool. So which means if anybody comes from my local network, if they ask you, can I have a IP address? Then I'm going to start with 10.21. So the 21 is the first IP. If another person will come, can I have an IP address? Yes, take this 10.22. Then other one 23, other one 24. Like this I can continue till 254 IP addresses. So always the best practice is that you can always reserve some IP addresses. So once if you reserve those IP addresses, you can use it for your servers, or if you have a NVR, or if you have a PABX, or if you have a some other devices which is required a static private IP address, that time you can use these IP addresses. So it's always best practice to do that. So the next thing is that you need to specify the from where you want to start this. So I want to start the IP address is 192.168.10.21. Let's go and do that. Then after that, how many IP addresses? I just need 100, that's it. And what's your gateway? The gateway is your DrayTek router, which is 192.168.10.1. Then after that, what's your lease time? 86,400. By default, it's a 24 hours, guys. So in case if you are not clear lease time, you can just convert the seconds into hours or minutes so that you will get some idea. Now you can see here, clear DHCP lease for inactive clients periodically. So if the clients are inactive, especially when you are going to configure this lease time and all, if you are going to give the internet access to the guest, that time we are going to configure this lease time like a 1 hour or 2 hours. Whenever they are going to inactive, whenever they leave your office, then automatically that IP address is going to release, and the other people, they can get the same IP address. So that's the beauty of that. Otherwise what will happen, then once the DHCP pool is completed, then any new user comes to your network, if you're trying to access the internet, they don't get the IP address. That's why we are going to configure this lease time. Then after that, what's your primary IP for the DNS? So DNS, as you know, that it's going to play a key role, guys. So most of the time, whatever the DNS server IP addresses that you are getting from your local service provider, you try to mention here. That's easy for you. Or else you can just type 4.2.2 and 8.8.8. So these are the global DNS servers. Then after that, click OK. Then you can see here, current router's first LAN IP 192.168.1.1 was changed to 192.168.10.1. Do you want to continue to save? The new configuration will take effect after rebooting the router. You can say OK. Then click OK. So in case if you want to say that, man, how much time is going to take? So simply you can open the command prompt. Then you can type, keep continue type, guys. But here you need to understand one interesting thing. Once the router has come back, you need to access the router with 10.1, not 1.1, guys. Right? So here you need to change the IP address as 192.168.10.1. So sometimes what will happen, mistakenly you are continuing the ping 192.168.1.1. So it doesn't work. So you need to try with 192.168.10.1. That's what very important, guys. So let's go and check it now. So I'm going to type 192.168.ping 192.168.10.1-t. So I'm getting a reply now. Thank you for DrayTek. But sometimes, guys, keep in your mind, in case if you are not able to get the reply, so that time don't worry about it, guys. So what you can do, you can just unplug your LAN cable and reconnect again. So that's very, very important. Okay. So in case if you are not able to get the reply, so simply you can unplug your LAN cable and reconnect it again so that you will get a reply back again. So now let's go and type it here 192.168.10.1. So now you can able to see here, click on admin and admin. That's it. Now you can click OK. So since my IP, my PC, it got the IP address from my DrayTek router, right, guys? So now if you want to know which IP address has picked and how many IP addresses the DrayTek router has released from the DHCP pool, So for that you just go to the diagnostics, and you can guys see here there is a DHCP table. So click on that. You can see here it's saying that the first IP address, which is started from 192.168.10.21, has taken by this PC. So this is the MAC address of my laptop, okay, and this is the name of my system, so that you will get the complete information guys here. That's the beauty of your DrayTek. So that is your scenario number one. I hope this is clear for you, the first scenario. So in the first scenario, what we discussed guys, we discussed about it's a completely a pure plain network. Okay, let's move back to my slides. So we discussed about it's a pure network. So from there, what I did, I just configured my LAN. Then after that, I have configured the DHCP and DNS. I have done it. So this is one of the very interesting thing guys, because most of the places, the people, they just want to do a like basic setup. So that time what you do, just don't do much things on the configuration side. And it's very simple. Port number 4, you can connect to the internet. Port number 1, you can connect it to your network switch. And after that you can connect all your end devices, PC1, PC2, PC3, whatever end devices you want to connect, you can connect it. And you can change the IP address according to your requirement. So I want to change 192.168.10.1. Then after that I want to assign the DHCP. I want to enable the DHCP as well as DNS. So completely you can do the configurations as per your requirement. So this is what exactly the overview guys. So in my next video I'm going to show it to you, in case if the customer required that, if they want to create a multiple VLANs, multiple subnets, so the different purposes, so that time how you are going to configure multiple subnets as per your requirement. Okay guys, for sales please send us an email, sales@datavoice.com. For support please send us an email, support@datavoice.com. I hope this has been informative, and I would like to thank you for viewing. Hi.